Praise Yah. Praise be to Abba Yahuwah. So this again is more so a summary of some of the lessons that I taught, and then I'll share what I shared with the Mishpachah last week. And even as I meditated this week, a few more things came to me that I'll just share with you all today. Praise Yah. Praise Yah. So this is series on the suffering process, and I think Richard mentioned a little bit of it earlier, that sometimes we go through things that really have nothing to do with us. Sometimes it's based on the environment. Royalty also mentioned there are times where we are dealing with things that's based on some of what may have been passed down to us from our ancestors. Some allude to this as heredity, where sometimes we go to the doctor and the doctor will tell us that we may experience a certain illness because it runs in the family. And this is one of the reasons why sometimes you go to the doctor and they want to know your family medical history, because some of these you may be predisposed to. However, there are times where they do tell you to incorporate certain lifestyle behaviors that will allow you to avoid some of these illnesses, or if not, better manage some of these illnesses. So there are things that we go through sometimes that um, we're not we're not responsible per se for the outcome. However, the Most High is good, and this is where I began to look at the life of the suffering servant, and I covered some of that last week, so I won't spend a lot of time going through this section. So this again comes from Isaiah 53, where we look at the suffering servant, and I also shared with you that I synthesized this because there seem to be two opposing ideas within our community. Some say that the suffering servant is the Mashiach, the one who the Most High would use to atone for Israel's sins. And some say, well, the suffering servant is Israel. And I shared with you all, I believe last week, that it is both, because one, the Mashiach will suffer for Israel's sins, but Israel, being joined to the Mashiach, will also partake of the Mashiach's suffering. And this becomes very eye-opening, because we walk with Mashiach, we partake of his suffering. As a matter of fact, there's one passage that says that if we do not suffer with him, we cannot reign with him. So suffering for the believer, sometimes it's a part of the process, it's a part of the journey. It's not sometimes a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. We all go through different things at different times, and it varies. We don't all go through the same thing, but the Most High knows what's suitable for us. Praise Yah. Even when the Mashiach spoke to his Talmudim, he says, you have to take up your cross and follow me. It's a part of the process to endure suffering. And we look at the two Hebrew words there from Isaiah chapter 53, verse 10. One is hapes, and one is deko, which denotes to be bruised or to crush. So when we look at hafetz, to delight, to take pleasure in, and shared last week that it's not the Most High motif. It's not his desire to sit back and find it joyous and as a source of entertainment. Similar to, some of you may have seen, I've not seen the most recent movie Gladiator because I'm just not interested. But if you study history, you'll find out that most of the Caesars, it brought them great pleasure and excitement and entertainment to see suffering in the arenas as sports. And sometimes we don't understand the reason why we're going through, and we ask the Most High, where are you when I'm going through what I'm going through? Why are you not stopping this? And the reason is because the Most High, he's looking for the outcome to be beneficial that compensates for you enduring and going through it. It builds character. It builds you up. It brings the Most High a great level of delight to see the outcome of the benefit of you going through, not the pain, not the agony, not the suffering, because most of what the I don't want to say participants because some of them did not participate willfully, but some of the individuals who went through torture and suffering as the Caesars were entertained, the outcome for them was death, and some who were believers, they were able to partake of a level of suffering that the Mashiach mentioned so that they can reign with him. So the Most High is looking for a favorable outcome for you. He's not looking for you just to be so depleted and so destroyed that you're no benefit. The Most High takes pleasure in what you go through because he's looking for the outcome to be one of glory, praise Yah, one that gives him esteem, one that will allow you to, at the end, receive a crown of righteousness. I want to focus on that just for a little while, that there is a reward for your suffering, that your suffering is not in vain. And we look at the Mashiach and his suffering, and of course, the reward is that he's seated at the right hand of the Father. Now, can you imagine if Mashiach did not endure the suffering? He would not be in the position that he's in right now to be the righteous judge, to be our high priest. The reward is much greater than the suffering. So although we look at the fact that it pleased the Father, praise Yah, because the Most High is looking at the outcome and the benefit that it will have on the work that he started at creation. Praise Yah. So that is the greater outcome. And then we look at Daka, which is to crush, to bruise. And this is the painful part of the process because no one enjoys being broken. And I'm using this word broken by design. And the reason why I included this as a part of the teaching this week is because for some of us, the process that we're going through is not necessarily because the Most High simply has nothing better to do. But the Most High is looking for something greater in you, and as a part of that, you may have to be broken. You say, More, why? Because sometimes there's some things in us that does not please the Most High, and He has to take us through this process because He loves us. But He is trying to get some things out of us that is simply not like Him. And I looked at one passage earlier this week in Malachi where it talks about the responsibility of the children of Israel, and by extension, those who join themselves to Israel, which is to love the Most High and to walk humbly with Him. So there are times where the Most High is breaking us to get us to a place of humility, because Mishpach, I'm going to be very transparent with you. Some of what I see on social media, as a matter of fact, I have not made an announcement officially, but I've kind of withdrawn, and I've said this, in previous show, but I've kind of withdrawn myself a bit from social media in terms of just a sheer interaction, not because I don't want to, but I'm seeing a lot where some of us need to be broken. There's a lot of pride, a lot of arrogance. A lot of what I'm seeing is about me, 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 and less about the Most High. So there are times where we go through a process where the Most High simply, He has to break us. And we see this where the Most High told the prophet to go down to the potter's house to see the work that he wants to do within Yashrael. And he goes down and he see the potter put the clay on the wheel and begin to spin it. And in the eyes of the Navi, so wow, this looks pretty good. But the Most High says, no, I see some things, it's marred. And instead of me continuing the work, the potter breaks down the clay and make it over again to get out the debris, to get out the impurities, to get what would hinder the piece of work to meet the requirements of what is considered complete. So when we think about shalom, a part of shalom is not just saying peace. A part of shalom is completeness. So the Most High wants us to be perfect, not that we may gloat, but so that His glory may be revealed in us through the Eretz. One of the things the Most High is looking for, He's looking for vessels that He can operate in effectively and efficiently. So the Most High is looking for someone who He can work through so that He can get the kavod, not that we may get the glory, but that He may get the glory. And some of what we may see in our community, we see a lot of people getting, trying to take the glory. And the Most High says, I'm not going to give my glory to anyone else. It belongs to me. So we sometimes are broken because we have relied on our intellect, our education, our experience, and our credentials. We have bestowed so much, and again, it's not to praise the works that men have done, and it's not to take away from giving honor to men and recognizing them for their contribution, but sometimes we laud so much praise on man, on flesh, that we forget who it is that is operating in them and through them. So Mishpika, we should always have a disposition that this is none of me, this is the Most High's doing. Mashiach was humble enough to say, the works that I do, it's not of myself, but it's of my Father who sent me. So we go through an experience where we experience Daka, crushed, bruised, broken. And it's to bring us to a place of humility. Zach, and I was listening to something you mentioned earlier this week, and you were talking about Jonah. Jonah had to go through a situation where he had to be broken. So while in the belly of the whale, so I can say it's the first submarine, praise Yah, he reached a place where he was broken because he was running away. He was rebelling against the will of the Most High, the plan and the purpose of the Most High for his life. So, Mishpika, I want you to think of this. There are times where you may go through things where it's the Most High trying to get your attention to do what He has called you to do. But if we miss the greater meaning behind us being crushed, us being broken, us being bruised because we're frustrated, we're angry, Most High, I'm serving you, I'm walking with you, I have the Ruach, I'm charitable, I'm giving. Why are you allowing me to go through this? He's allowing you to go through this for the greater good of Israel, for the kingdom, the greater good of the kingdom. So we look at the word daka here, primarily conveys the idea of crushing or breaking something into pieces. It is often used metaphorically to describe a state of being broken in spirit or contrite in heart. I want you to focus on this just for a moment. Why? Because sometimes we get to sometimes until we get to a place of brokenness, the Most High will not hear us. Because we have so much that we're coming to Him with that has nothing to do with His purpose for our lives. Mashiach gave a parable about two men who went up to the temple to pray. And one, he said, began to justify himself and talk about all he has done. Look what I have done. I give, I pray, and I'm just paraphrasing, I give to the poor, I fast twice a week or 3 times a week. And then the Mashiach says, then there came a man who was broken and says, I'm nothing but a sinner. The word there is used to denote someone who's a lawbreaker. And then the Mashiach said, who do you think the Father heard? The one who was broken. So sometimes until we get to a place of brokenness, the Most High will not hear us. And the reason why I'm able to make that statement is because Dawood confirms it. He says, a broken spirit and a contrite heart Oh yeah, you will not despise, you will not reject, you will hearken. When I get to this place of brokenness, then you'll hear. Mishpachah, the Most High hates pride. He loves humility. He gives grace to the humble, but he rejects the proud. So pride comes before a fall. So if we are continuously being stiff-necked and going before the Most High, justifying ourselves and looking at all the good we're doing while we're going through a period of suffering, of being broken, then we'll miss what the Most High is doing in us, and we will miss out on the opportunity of partaking in the kavod of our Mashiach. So the suffering servant and the suffering saint. So again, this is where I shared that Israel, and by extension, those who join themselves to Israel, will suffer because they are a part of Mashiach. They have joined ears with Mashiach. And if children, then heirs, heirs of Yahuwah, and join ears with Mashiach. So if we're the Kodashim, then we're heirs, first heirs of Yahuwah. But because we were disenfranchised, we regain our status through Mashiach. As we regain our status through him, we endure suffering because he suffered. If indeed we suffer with him, then we may also be glorified together. So as he will be glorified, he've already received a part of the glorification, praise Yah, but the greater kavod is when he will come and rule the Eretz. For I consider that the suffering of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us. The first resurrection, when mortal shall put on immortality, when corruption shall put on incorruption, where we will live with him forever, where we will rule with him in the Eretz. That is the greater glory that will be revealed in us if we endure the suffering. Not complain, not whine, not have a fit, not be angry at the Most High. Mishpachah, listen, there are times where we really have to look at the text and, and embrace the humanity that we see by some of the biblical characters. You say, why you say that, Maury? Because sometimes we look at these biblical characters as almost as if they're superhuman, and we miss out on the opportunity to see their humanity. Do you know that Jonah was not happy, although he yielded? He was really not happy with the Most High saving Nineveh. As a matter of fact, he had a little temper tantrum afterwards. So when we look at our experience and our suffering, it's not pleasant, but we cannot find ourselves in a position where our ancestors failed. Mishpachah, we must succeed in the areas in which our ancestors failed. Some of us may be going through what is called the wilderness experience. And in the wilderness, we endure suffering, but the Most High is bringing or taking things out of us. Because Mishpachah, some historians, some theologians, I've never done the geographical study to confirm or deny, but some allude to the fact that Egypt is only a 9-day journey from Israel. But the Most High had to bring them through the wilderness, 40 years, to get much of Egypt out of them. Before you get to the promises, and some of us, we have been blessed by the Most High to receive words of prophecy of what He has planned for us, His purpose for us. But before we get there, the Most High has to get some things out of us. The wilderness proved what was in Israel. The Most High said, I'm going to bring you through the wilderness to test you, to see what's in you. And much of our ancestors failed. Much of our ancestors failed because they lost faith in the Most High. Some of our ancestors failed because they began to murmur and complain. I know we're humans, Mishpika, but I just want to encourage you on this yom, on this boker. Let's watch how we phrase our conversation, because we don't want to be drawn in a situation where we're complaining. And sometimes what we're going through seems unfair, but the Most High has a plan and a purpose for you. The suffering servant and the suffering saint, but rejoice to the extent that you partake of Messiah's suffering, that when his glory is revealed again, part of his glory has not yet been revealed, you may also be glad with exceeding joy. Philippians 3:10, that I may know him. So this is Rav Shaul, that I may know him and the power of his resurrection and the fellowship, some translation put it, and to be joined in fellowship with his suffering, being made conformable to his death. This is a difficult piece of the Israelite journey that we have to understand, because for some of us, we're saying, oh, we're free from the curses because we've turned back to Torah. And then we're experiencing suffering, and many are beginning to question this Israelite walk. You're like, well, we're not under the curses, so why are we still going through? Because you're joined with Mashiach, you will suffer. You will suffer. All who desire to live righteous will suffer affliction in some way, shape, or form. Why? Because you are partaker of his suffering to be a partaker of his glory, which is to be revealed, is covered. Mishpika, I don't think anyone really look forward to pain. We do everything we can to avoid pain. My goodness. And our medical community do a good job to produce all type of medication to help us deal with physical pain. But Mishpika, there are certain pain that only the Most High can help us with. I'm here to encourage you that in the midst of you going through, please, Mishpika, let us remind ourselves of the passages within the text that share with us that our suffering is not forever. It's not forever. So we look at the chastening process of first. We look at the suffering servant, that it's really nothing that the Mashiach did to warrant him going through. The Most High afflicted him. It is the Most High that allowed him to be afflicted, to be bruised, and it's not because he was sinful. Similar to Job, I believe one of the Akkots mentioned Yov earlier, that Job didn't do anything wrong, meaning he didn't break Torah. But again, Job had some things that was revealed in him because he felt like he was entitled. Mishpika, I want us to realize that all our possession, all our position, it's by Ab Yahuwah's grace. We cannot allow the ruach of entitlement to cloud our ability to be humble. When you look at the fact that you've completed all the prerequisites, you've checked all the boxes, and now you're like, I deserve this. Mishpika, we don't deserve. Our righteousness does not merit us the blessings of the Most High, because our righteousness outside of Mashiach is nothing but filthy rags. We looked at some of this last week, so I won't spend much time, but Proverbs 3:11-12, do not despise the chastening of Most High. So this part is slightly different from the first part. This is where we may have done things where we're dealing with the consequences. We're dealing with the consequences of our actions. And the Most High is doing this because He loves us, not because He hates us, because um, he wants to utterly destroy us. He's trying to get us to course correct. So I moved through a lot of this in terms of the chastening process. We just have to humble ourselves and go through the chastening process and say, Abba Yahuwah, thank you for loving me enough to help me get back on track. The Most High says, if a parent does not chasten a child, the parent does not love the child. But because Abba Yahuwah loves us, He will chasten us. And we look at the word here, musar, to discipline, to instruct. I'll move through some of this here. Job says, happy is the man who Elohim correcteth. I'm not, sometimes, Mishpachah, we want to retaliate and we want to say it's unjust, especially some of us, we reflect on our childhood. And Richard was mentioning, alluding to some of that earlier in his exhortation, that sometimes, we think about discipline, and we have to acknowledge the fact that some of us weren't happy when we were being disciplined. Some of us, it took us 2 or 3 days before we really let it go. And some people are still upset about it today. Praise Yah. I met one person, and they were angry because they were disciplined as a child. And I'm like, you're 40 something years old. You're still holding on to that. Praise Yah. But, different people are at different places. But Job encourages us that the person who is corrected should be happy, because had it not been for the correction, the outcome would have been adversarial. Some of us today can truly look back and say, if my mom or dad didn't drive the fear of the Most High in me through discipline, I wouldn't be here today. Some of us are here today because of the strict discipline of our parents. We would have been doing some of the things that would have gotten in so much trouble. I grew up with people who, some are dead, some are in jail because they went down the wrong path, because they despised discipline. Not saying I agree, but what I tell parents sometimes, if you fail to discipline your child, the Most High will use this system that we're in, this Babylonian system, to inflict discipline that sometimes does not work in the best interest of our people, because they're crueler and sometimes they're heartless. So I encourage parents to discipline their children in a way that will help them course correct, because if you allow the system to discipline them, and that's what the system looks at, that's what they consider it. And after a while, they evaluate if your behavior merits you being released. Some people get an early release from the prison system or from jail. Why? Because they demonstrate behavior that they have experienced a reformation or a transformation. Good behavior. They've demonstrated that the discipline that the judicial system has placed on them has caused them to course correct, and they allow them to go back into society. Sadly, some pretend, and when they come out, they end up doing the same thing. And sometimes they lose the opportunity of freedom because they're considered a detriment to society. Why? Because they did not adhere to the chastening. How does this relate to us today? If we continue to reject the chastening of the Most High, Mishpachah, we lose the opportunity of eternal life. That is the detriment. Eternal life is at stake. If we keep doing the same thing over and over again, and the Most High keep correcting us and disciplining us, and we do not experience transformation or within the Hebraic framework, teshuva, true teshuva. Now we keep doing it and praying, well, please, yeah, forgive me. Yeah, please forgive me. At some point, the Most High's heart is going to be turned away from you. You know what is sad, Mishpika? As I was thinking about a passage where the Most High told the prophet, don't even pray for this people because I will not hear you. Can you imagine that, Mishpaka? Somebody coming to you and say, Akot, please pray for me. Please lift me up before the Most High. And Ak coming to you and say, Ak, man, please lift me up before the Most High, man. Call up my name before the Most High. And you're going to Most High say, don't even do it. I'm not going to hear it. Because they refuse correction. So the deeper purpose of chastening, to refine us like gold, to strengthen our faith and reliance on Him, to guide us back when we stray. That would say it was good for me to be afflicted so that I might learn your decrees. Mishpika, I'm going to be honest with you. We don't like when we have to deal with the consequences of our actions. But one of the reasons why sometimes when we are, I don't know about the UK or on the continent, but here in the US, sometimes when you get pulled over and you may be going too fast or you may have ran a red light and the officer will say, do you know how fast you're going? Sometimes people say, well, no, I wasn't paying attention. And sometimes some of the officers are kind enough to explain to you how detrimental your actions could have been if he or she did not stop you. Because if you're not stopped to really reflect on what could have been potentially a harmful outcome if you're speeding or you run the red light, you could put other people's life in danger because you're in a hurry, you're not thinking about anybody else, you're just thinking about yourself, and you just keep going. Some people are humble enough to say, you know what, you know, in light of that, I'm glad I was stopped because I was going 80 miles per hour and I could have caused someone's life if I did not get stopped. Mishpika, if the Most High don't stop us, does not afflict us for us to stop, we put other people's lives in danger. You say, Maury, well, how could this be? Mishpika, there are two things that I've taken away from some of the passages that I've read, and I share both with you as we think about the sin of Achan, or some say Achan. His decision put his whole family's life in danger, and the whole house of Achan had to be punished because of his bad decision. We also read in Exodus where the Most High said that he'll visit, and I think I shared this last week, the iniquity of the parents upon the third and the fourth generation of those who hate me. You're putting your children, your children's children, and your great grandchildren's life in danger. That's how detrimental this is. So when the Most High chastens us, say, you know what, yeah, I'm glad you corrected me, because if not, these would be some of the outcome. Further, it brings peace and righteousness, builds endurance and character, deepens our relationship with the Most High. No discipline seems pleasant at the time. Later on, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it. I think I shared a personal testimony last week in our in-person Shabbat, where I talked about some of my colleagues growing up, and as some of them got older, they began to smoke marijuana, and I was afraid for my parents to find out. So I tried it once, and I'm like, nah, I can't do this, because if my grandparents find out, they're gonna kill me. Praise, yeah. So I didn't. But one of my colleagues, he tried marijuana for the first time allegedly, and he lost his mind. He lost his mind. He was a brilliant young man in university, and he lost his mind. There are times where the Most High is hinting to you that no, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. But our rebellion leads us to do things where the consequences sometimes are detrimental. So personal introspection, it causes you to look on the inside. Why am I going through what I'm going through? Abba Yahuwah, are you trying to get my attention? Dawood says, search me and see if there be any wicked ways in me. Abba Yahuwah, is there something in me that I'm not aware of, that I don't see? Reveal it to me. So we go through the fire to be refined. We go through the trials to be refined. We go through the trials to be proven. Are we willing to change our ways, or do we continue to justify our ways and say, there's nothing wrong, this is just who I am, this is how I talk? Mishpika, humility is one of the greatest lessons we can learn while going through suffering. So we know that Abba Yahuwah is faithful and he's gracious. When it comes down to the punishment based on Torah, some required immediate death, some would be put out of the congregation, but the Most High is gracious unto us. So I'll move to this piece. We should always have an open heart to repent. If the Most High reveals to us that something we're doing is not in line with his will and his purpose for our life, it's not in line with Torah, we should be open to repent. Now, I want to say this because sometimes we become so one-dimensional in our view of Torah that we limit Torah, and I'm not saying it's 613 mitzvot, that's what some communities claim, but we look at the mitzvot of what's written and we just restrict the mitzvot to what's written. I've shared this before, probably early this year or last year. What Yahweh says to you is as equally weighty as what is written. I'm going to say that again. What the Most High says to you, and I'm talking about your walk with him, where if he says, don't go to the store today, I'm just using a generic term. He said, don't go to the store today. And you say, well, I need bread. I just, we need breakfast food. Or, I need to cook dinner. That's disobeying the voice of the Most High. That's just as, the gravity is just as if you broke what is written. If you lied, stole, commit adultery. Hearkening unto the voice of the Most High is critical in our walk. Today you hear my voice. Harden not your heart as in the day of provocation. So there are things the Most High is saying to you that you need to action. Coming back to the what I started out with when it comes to tomorrow is not promised. Don't put it off, Mishpachah. If the Most High has put something in your heart and it's a part of your journey, it's a part of the process, don't keep delaying it, Mishpachah. Just like Nike said, just do it. This is not an endorsement for Nike. Just do it. It may require you putting pride aside, putting your ego aside. It may require you humbling down yourself. But Mishpachah, just do it. Even if we don't see it as the Most High sees it. Because his ways are not like our ways, and his thoughts are not like our thoughts. We may not see anything wrong with it, but the Most High sees something wrong, and he's asking you to yield to his leadership, his authority, and to obey. Sometimes we want it to make sense to us. And we won't do it if it doesn't make sense to us. The Most High does not operate in logic or reason. Mishpach, I'm going to say this again. The Most High does not operate in logic and reason. To simplify, the Most High does not operate in human wisdom. I think it's Ralph Shaul that says the wisdom of men is foolishness to the Most High. Yes, all our academics, all our universities, all our great scholars, all our great philosophers, cumulatively, all their wisdom before the Most High is foolishness. In Spanish, they say basura, trash, garbage. This is why we need His wisdom. And sometimes it does not align with our human ability to reason or rationalize. So there are things that the Most High may be asking us, and we say, "But I don't see nothing wrong with this." And the Most High saying, "Don't do it." Well, I don't see in Torah where we can't do this and can't do that. That has become one of the new things within Israel. Show me in Torah where I can't do this and do that. And surely we're not trying to add to Torah, but there's some instructions. Do you think the Navi, when the Most High said, "Go down, go here or go there," well, show me in Torah, show me in Torah. Son of man, lay on your side for a whole year. Show me in Torah, show me in Torah. Son of man, go down to the widow woman's house. Show me in Torah, show me in Torah, show me in Torah. Mishpachah, we just need to humble ourselves and just listen. Obey. Just obey. Hallelujah. I don't want to spend too much time here. All right. The season of restoration. So, Mishpachah, this is where, and I don't even have my watch on, so I'm not tracking the time. Praise yeah. Hallelujah. But I have a few more slides to go. The reason for us going through sometimes, it may not make sense to us, but we just have to trust the process. It may not make sense to us, but we have to trust the process. Now, one of the things that I've observed, and I'm sharing this based on my observation, that after we go through a season of suffering, we see in the text a season of blessing that follows. So we go from a season of being broken to a season of being blessed, or the breaking to the blessing. So the season of restoration. So Exodus, then Yahweh said, "I have surely seen the affliction of my people who are in Egypt, and have heard their cries because of their taskmasters. I know their suffering, and I have come down to deliver them." The Most High hears us when we cry. So Yah hears. He hears our cries when we're crying out to Him, when we're going through difficult times, when things seems unbearable, when we go through moments, some of us similar to Job, where we wish that we would not wake up in the morning. We wish we weren't born. We wish death would overtake us. We go through moments where we don't want to endure the suffering because it is so painful. Most I say, I hear your cries. And sometimes there are people that you interact with, Mishpachah, and sometimes we may do this. We don't display our suffering on the outside. Some people are going through some life-changing situation, and you'll never know because they won't say a word. They'll smile. They'll continue to operate in the ruach of humility and excellence. They'll still be hospitable. They'll be gentle, meek, kind. They'll display the fruit of the ruach. You'll never know. But Abba Yahuwah hears their cry. I just want to encourage somebody right now. There are times where you don't cry in front of people, but you cry when you're alone. Cry when you're in your car. You cry in the shower. You cry yourself to sleep. And you wake up and you just try to put on a good facade because you don't want people to really know what you're going through. Abba Yahuwah hears your cry. He hears your cry. When the righteous cry for help, Yahuwah hears and delivers them out of all their troubles. When you're in distress, the enemy sometimes want to tell you Abba Yahuwah is not hearing you. Why? Because we measure whether or not Abba Yahuwah hears us by the timing of our deliverance. And if he does not deliver us within a certain time, and we begin to ask, are you hearing me, O Yahuwah? Dawood felt this. Dawood, and I love David for multiple reasons. David was transparent. Even sometimes he tried to hide things, but when confronted, he did not continue to try to evade or avoid. He was forthcoming to say, yes, you are right. David says, Abba Yahuwah, where are you? Why are you not answering me? But one thing David did not cease to do, he did not cease to cry. Mishpekah, here's another word of encouragement. Don't stop crying until Abba Yahuwah answers. Don't give up on crying. Mashiach gave a parable of the widow woman that she would go daily before the judge to make her petition. Mishpekah, if you got to cry day and night, cry day and night. Don't give up on crying. The enemy want to discourage you and say, oh, Abba Yahuwah is not hearing you. Where is he? And the enemy says, where is he? If he's hearing you, where's the answer? Mishpekah, don't stop crying. Don't stop crying. Because Abba Yahuwah's word is true. He's faithful to his word. If nothing else, he's faithful to his word. He esteems his word above his very Shem. His name, his character is highly exalted. It's above the Shamayim. It's above the universe. Dawood said, in my distress, I called upon Yahuwah. To my Elohim, I cried for help. From his temple, he heard my voice, and my cry to him reached his ears. Abba Yahuwah hears you. Mishpekah, no matter what you go through, don't stop crying. He will surely be gracious unto you at the sound of your cry. As soon as he hears it, he answers you. Yahuwah is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. So this is where we not only knows that he hears, but he knows and he remembers. He remembers his covenant. He remembers you. He has not forgotten about you, Mishpekah. Men may forget about you. They say, oh, I forgot. Not the Most High. The Most High remembers. He's close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. He's close to the brokenhearted. Your brokenness draws him closer to you because you're in a state of humility, and he gives grace to the humble. But if we are hard-hearted, puffed up and prideful, he's far from the proud. David said, a broken spirit and a contrite heart. I'm sorry, broken spirit and a contrite heart, he will not despise. Sometimes it's hard to deal with the fact that I've been broken. And sometimes people say, how are you doing? And you have to do everything in your power not to break down and cry because you're just so broken. Abba Yahuwah says, I'm close to you. I'm closer than you think. Dawood says, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil because you're with me. You're not going through this situation, whatever you're faced with, you're not going through by yourself. Abba Yahuwah is right there. He's close to the brokenhearted. Psalm 147:3. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. The Most High is compassionate. He's compassionate. But Mishpekah, in the midst of our brokenness, we have to cry out to him. I respect all disciplines of medicine. And I say that because not everyone in our community does. So I have to state my position. Not that I agree, but I respect. As much as I respect those who practice different disciplines, there's a brokenness that only the Most High can heal. Your primary care physician cannot heal some of the brokenness you're going through. Your psychiatrist, your therapist, your favorite life coach, your motivational coach. There's no seminar you can go to. It takes the Most High. I have experienced this several times in my life where David, as the Most High began to move on him and the Most High heals his brokenness, David said, He restoreth my soul. Ooh. Some of you may be going through a season of restoration where the Most High is restoring your joy. And some of this is later on, but He's restoring your soul where you don't have to walk with your head hung down anymore. You don't have to deal with what some consider depression, what some consider oppression. There's a freedom, there's a peace that's on the inside of you because Abia, who has restored your soul. Has your situation changed? Nope. It's still there. There's a speaker that says, if what you're looking at has not changed, just change the way you look at it. I see my situation differently. Yes, I know, but I have a different outlook because Abia, who has rejuvenated my soul. I feel joy. I feel strengthened. You know, I have a renewed hope that everything is going to be all right. That Abia, who is working things on my behalf. For this is what the high and exalted one says: He who lives forever, whose name is Kodesh. I live in a high and holy place, but also with the one who is contrite and lowly in spirit, to revive the spirit of the lowly and revive the heart of the contrite. There is a renewal that is about to take place in the lives of some of the Mishpachah who you are around. You may be on this Zoom. The Most High is about to bring you into a season of restoration. Looking at it, things may seem hopeless. When the Most High asked Ezekiel to give his response to a situation that just seemed dead and hopeless, sitting or standing in the valley of dry bones. It's dead, it's dry, seems hopeless. Maybe you've been through a state of famine. Most High said to the Navi, he asked the Navi, he said, can these dry bones live? The Navi said, I don't know. Only you know. Sometimes you don't know how things are going to come out. People say, well, what's going to happen? I don't know. Only the Most High knows. But the Most High was able to speak to the Navi and says, prophesy to the wind. And the dry bones came to life. Things that may have seemed dead in your life, the Most High is about to bring them to life, Mishpachah. I just want to encourage you as we go through this. Praise be to El, the Ab of our Elohim, Yahushua HaMashiach, the Ab of compassion and the El of all comfort, who comforts us in all our troubles. He is the wonderful counselor. He's the comforter who comforts us through his Ruach. So while we're going through, let us never forget that Abia, who is fully aware, and he's about to bring restoration. Joel 2:25, I will restore to you the years that the swarming locust has eaten. And I believe in another part, it says, everything that the palmer worm and the conker worm have eaten up, I will restore. I will restore to you the years that were lost. Abba Yahweh is about to bring you into a season of restoration. Restoration of joy. Restore to me the joy of your salvation and uphold me with a willing ruach. Dawood makes this heart felt plea to regain the joy that comes from salvation, from him being rescued, reflecting a deep desire for spiritual renewal and a steadfast will in spirit. The sadness that some of you may have endured for a while, Most High is about to turn your sadness into joy. He's about to turn your mourning into laughter. He's about to bring restoration. And after you have suffered a little while, the Elohim of all grace, who has called you to his eternal glory in Mashiach, will himself restore, confirm, strengthen, and establish you. Mishpika, you're just going through a season. You're just going through a season. And sometimes you want to know, when am I going to come out of this season? In due time, Mishpika, we have to endure, learn the lessons that are being taught by the Most High, and do not allow disobedience, pride, rebellion exacerbate your season of suffering. The longer it takes for you to learn, the longer it takes for your season to come to an end. Restoration of blessing. Instead of your shame, there will be a double portion. Instead of dishonor, they shall rejoice in their lot. Therefore, in a land that they shall possess a double portion, they shall have everlasting joy. When we were under the construct of the Christian church, this is something that we'd hear a lot. God is going to give you a double portion. The Most High has promised that He will. But Mishpika, it's for those who endure. It is for those who endure. Mishpika, I know that it sounds easy just to utter these words. And sometimes as you reflect on your situation, you say, Maury, you don't know what I've been going through. All I can share with you is what I see within the text. I can share my personal experience with you, and it may be different. But you have to believe the report of the Most High. The question is asked, who shall believe our report? Whose report are you going to believe? Are you going to believe a report of the doctors, the educated officials, the public officials, the political officials, the educational officials, or are you going to believe the report of the Most High? The Most High is about to restore the blessings that may have been taken from you, just by having conversation with some Mishpika. I've heard several stories of just opportunities being snatched away from us, whether it's by family members, whether it's by the legal system, whether it's by strangers. I have a similar testimony. I'm dealing with something right now, trying to hold on to something that was passed down to me that family member they're trying to take away. But Mishpika, for every blessing that you've lost, the Most High will restore to you a double portion. Job was more blessed in the latter part of his years than when we first were introduced to his life and all that he had. But Job endured, and the latter part of his life was more blessed than the former. Mishpaka, the Most High will restore to you the blessings that you've lost, the opportunities that you've lost. Don't lose faith, don't lose hope. The Most High will bring restoration. And you say, when, Maury? All in the Most High's timing. The Most High heard your prayers. And we look at Daniel. Daniel began to petition the Most High, say, Abyahu, I need to hear from you. The Malak comes to Daniel and says, from the first day you prayed, the Most High heard you. But there was a hindrance. The prince of Persia hindered me. Because sometimes it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. You don't want to give up in your season of suffering right when you're at the brink of your breakthrough. The text says Daniel dedicated himself to pray for 21 days, spending day and night before the face of the Most High, crying out. Have you spent 21 days just crying out to the Most High? Say, Abba Yahuwah, I'm going to cry out to you. I need a breakthrough. I need restoration. From the first day you prayed, Daniel, I heard you, but I was hindered. But I'm here now. The enemy can only slow down your blessing. He cannot stop it. Sometimes the enemy wants us to believe that delayed means denied because it has not come as of yet. Some people lose focus and lose hope and say, well, it will never come. Maybe because we're called to endure. Behold, I will bring to it health and healing, and I will heal them and reveal to them abundance of prosperity and security. The Most High will restore to you that which the enemy may have robbed you of. He will turn the hearts of the fathers to their children, the hearts of the children to their fathers. Family will be restored. Relationships will be restored. This has been one of the pain points of the awakening, where sometimes one spouse is awakened and the other is not. Sometimes the parents are awakened and the children are not. Sometimes the children are awakened and the parents are not. And there's a great divide. The Most High said, I'm about to bring restoration. Through his word, he's encouraging us that he will bring restoration. He will turn the hearts of the fathers to their children and the hearts of the children to their fathers. Relationships will be restored between, sometimes in marriages are going to be restored. Marriages are going to be restored. Relationship between children and parents are going to be restored. Relationship between nieces and nephews and aunts and uncles, grandparents, great-grandparents, and other siblings will be restored. It's a part of the restoration that the Most High has for his people. And a season of restoration is upon some of us. Mishpachah, we look at Joseph. Here's a case study, and I'm wrapping up. Betrayed by his own family. Sometimes this is one of the hardest betrayal to deal with when it's people closest to you. David said, if it was an enemy, I could have borne it. But he says, a man of my equal. We went to the house of the Most High together. We supped and took sweet counsel together. We used to fellowship and have a good time, and you were the one that wounded me. Sometimes this is the hardest betrayal to deal with. Mishpachah, Joseph could have allowed bitterness, resentment, and hate to dominate his heart. When he looked at the situation that he was in and knowing that it's those who are closest to me that caused this, caused him to be in a pit. Caused him to be in prison. If his brothers did not put him in that compromising state, Joseph could have reflected and said, I could be back home taking care of the sheep, tending to my father's house. But the people closest to me caused me to go through this adversity. Joseph waited on the timing of the Most High, and the Most High restored him. We want to go immediately. We want to rush the process, Mishpachah. Some of us, we live in this microwave mindset where we want it now. And the Most High, he's going to rush me from the pit to the palace. He's going to rush me from the prison to the palace. There is a process where you go through a season of suffering, but the Most High is faithful to bring you to a season of restoration, where your latter years are greater than your former years. Joseph wasn't bitter at the end. He said to them, what you meant for evil, the Most High turn it around for my good. Mishpika, this may be a point where you look at some of the people who've done you wrong and say, you know what? I'm going to release them. I'm going to forgive them because the suffering that I have endured, that they have caused me to go through, the Most High is doing something greater through me. What they meant for evil, the Most High is using it for my good. Lastly, Naomi and Ruth. Again, some of the situations we go through, it's not anything we've done. Naomi lost her husband and lost her sons. Sometimes we look at situations and we say, Ab Yahuwah, how worse can it get? Things go from worse to worse at first, and not saying that this is what happened, but in a real life situation, you endure. The reason why they went to where they went because there was famine in the land. You're dealing with financial famine, and you're trying to just make ends meet, and you move into an area and then you have to deal with sickness. And you say, Abi Yahuwah, how much more can I take in that? And you think, okay, I can deal with this. The Most High as a healer, and then death comes. You lose your husband, or you lose a loved one, and say, oh yeah, this is Abi Yahuwah, this is getting too heavy. And when you think things couldn't get any worse, you lose your children. Naomi was so broken. Does anyone know what the name Naomi means?
Pleasant.
I'm sorry?
My pleasantness.
Pleasantness or sweetness. She was so broken that when she got back home, lost everything. Probably the laughing stock of many, probably having to endure ridicule. And you have some people who are going to lack the compassion while you're going through a tough season. And instead of having compassion to mourn with you, they laugh at you. Naomi said, don't call me by a name that reflects kindness or sweetness or loveliness. Call me Mara. Does anyone know what the word Mara means?
Bitter.
Bitterness.
Bitter.
Mm.
Call me bitter because life has dealt so bitterly with me. I try to do all the right things, say all the right words, but life has been bitter. Life has been less than pleasant to me. Mishpaka, I want to just encourage you that not to lose hope, that you may have gone through some situations that are unbearable. And it's by the Most High grace and mercy you've not lost your mind. You're at the brink of giving up. You're at the brink of losing hope. But the Most High is about to bring you into a season of restoration. Text tells us that Ruth married Boaz, and when they bore a child, Naomi's season of restoration had come. She even produced milk to nurse the child. The Most High restored her joy, restored her peace, restored her happiness after she went through a season of brokenness. Mishpaka, after your season of brokenness, the Most High will bring you into a season of blessing. So I just want to encourage you all today to hold on. Your season of change may be right around the corner. The Most High bless you and keep you all. And with that, I say, Shalom.